In today's episode of the Pathmoon Presents podcast, we got a very interesting guest with us today. I'm with Cassie Layton. She's hailing over from the folks at EV Connect. And at EV Connect, they're in the very interesting place. Basically, EV charging management is the keyword. And we want to really talk about EV Connect with Cassie today, but also how she's thinking about growth in that very exciting industry. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course. Yeah. So maybe give people an overview. What is EV Connect all about in your own words?
Sure. Really, EV Connect is on a mission to build a better planet by enabling electricity as a transportation fuel. So what does that mean? We have an open charging platform where EV Connect simplifies the setup, the management, and the optimization of charging stations. And we do that by offering customer service all the way from installation of EV charging stations through the driver support. And we guide companies of all sizes in managing networks of chargers. And we do that by delivering a really seamless and easy experience that empowers drivers.
Very cool. That gives a very clear insight into, what you guys are doing. Now, what are the organizations that you work with? Like, can you maybe tell us about the clients? Who are the people, for example, that are getting in touch with EV Connect? What types of businesses do they work with?
Sure. So thinking about the EV charging ecosystem, there's several different types of stakeholders that we work with. So one of the groups that we work with are utilities, and utilities in North America specifically are creating different incentive programs, and we're qualifying for those programs, whether they're utility-owned EV charging stations or trying to serve all the businesses within the different utility territories. So what do those types of businesses look like? It could be a multifamily property that's trying to add EV charging for their tenants and residents. It could be a hotel that's trying to drive more people to their location. It could be a retail location. It could be a business that's trying to help their employees. It's a wide range. Really any business that has a parking lot, which is pretty much every business today. That's where EV charging can happen. That's where you can install it. So the different people that we work with are those utilities, are these different businesses. And then EV Connect also has an EV driver app. So we're also interacting with the end driver, with that customer to make sure they can find those charging stations and that they can charge their car when they need to.
Mm-hmm. What would you say in terms of, how do these organizations learn about you guys? Like, how do they learn that EV Connect exists? How do they know that they can, use their parking lot for something better? Like, maybe tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So, let's take a step back and think about the industry overall. Like, how are they trying to figure out EV charging? The EV charging industry is just growing like crazy, and you see different laws that are going into place of how many EV chargers need to happen, and different auto manufacturers that are going full electric. You saw that with GM. There's a lot of different momentum that's happening in industry, and so the U.S. needs 8 times more chargers in order to support the demand and the growth and adoption that needs to happen. And so different businesses are starting to hear about, okay, I need to add an EV charging station. How do I do that? How do I figure it out? And people are really at that early education stage at the whole. There's been a bunch of early adopters that we love and value, but now we're talking about the mass community of trying to figure out EV charging. So the way that they find EV Connect is oftentimes just simply Googling, trying to figure out EV charging and typing things in. So we leverage different SEO methods and paid advertising to try and educate and really hit those keywords of, how do I get EV charging stations at my property? And so we drive traffic to our website where different businesses fill out variety of forms, whether it's specifically to an incentive of where their business is located, or whether it's their industry, an industry page. So they find EV Connect and they fill out a form on our website, and that's often how they're finding us.
Gotcha. And what would you say, what role does the website then play? Because you mentioned inbound or traffic, SEO is key. Like, how do you think about the website? What role do you think it plays in the buyer's journey?
It's a critical aspect. Like, I think of this as really a funnel, and at the very top of the funnel, this is the education piece. When you think about this industry, different customers are at different paths of their understanding of how it works. So when we think about our website, we think about it as an educational tool, because businesses are doing a lot of research before they decide to fill out a form. So we're trying to educate them of how it works, all the different aspects that they should be thinking and considering, and utilizing different tools like our blogs and case studies and webinars and different downloadable content, so that business can feel comfortable to contact EV Connect and know, okay, they know what they're doing and they feel confident to fill out a form.
Very cool. Now, what would you consider is a sort of a strength of the website versus where do you see room for further improvement? Now that inbound plays a key role, like, how do you think about the page and its further development?
So I think where one of our biggest strengths is as a company is that of all these different incentive programs that we're qualified for. And so trying to list out all these different programs to attract businesses from all these different places, we have all of that. So it's very content rich. And so with that, that can be a magnet to attract a lot of people. Where I think there might be an opportunity for improvement is like, how do we make sure that they find the right information for them very, very quickly, and make sure that they're not spending a lot of time trying to discover it, but boom, it's right there. So I think, we're trying to help a lot of different types of businesses, a lot of different segments, in a lot of different territories. So we want to try and make sure that that's clear to them for, their own searching needs, and just really make it easy.
Mm-hmm. And you as a marketer, right? I mean, you've been in interesting roles. Now talking about the website in the context of EV Connect, like what have you learned over the years in your career overall as a marketer when it comes to conversions? Like any tools, approaches, methods, anything that has helped you that you found was maybe a good insight, a good nugget of knowledge to take away with when it comes to driving conversions?
I'll say one thing that I think that's been really helpful is giving just the right amount of information, of enough to give that confidence, but not to overwhelm. A lot of these businesses, they're managing a lot of other projects, a lot of their own customers and their own KPIs. This is something that they're adding to their parking lot as an amenity or a way to attract more people. So we really take that consultative approach, both in sales and marketing. So I think it's really about trying to find that right balance of enough information that they feel like, okay, I'm reaching out to the right person, but not too much information to overwhelm. So how do we create that steady stream of content throughout the customer discovery process?
Very good. I'd like to switch gears a little bit and talk about yourself as a marketer, right? There's so much content out there for marketers to educate themselves with and learn from. Where do you personally like to turn? What's your go-to resource places with all the noise out there when it comes to marketing?
It's a wonderful question. I feel like I try and get it to as many different places as I can. I look for different keywords that are talking. I have different Google alerts that are set up so I can look at a variety of sources, because this is such a new industry and marketing is changing all the time. I think it's important to not marry yourself to one content source, but look at, different types of publications, newcomers that are coming on the market. So I'm casting a wide net to learn and then determine my own key themes and what will work for our organization.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Now I got some rapid fire questions to wrap it up for today. Are you ready for those?
Let's do it. Bring it on.
What is the last book that you read or the last podcast you listened to?
That's a good question. Right. I'll say what I'm reading exactly right now. I'm really into crime novels. I love different books. And I just watched this television series that made me want to read the book series called Three Pines. And so it's just something fun that I like to do in my free time.
What is one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
We're really focused on improving the customer journey overall and uptime within the industry, making sure that it's just easy for EV drivers to charge when they need to and make that really easy for businesses as well.
If there would be no boundaries in technology, right? So you would have a magic wand. What would be the one thing that you would want it to fix for your role as a marketer?
If I had a magic wand, I would love to be able to tap into the brain of all of our different customers and just know exactly that what they were thinking, so I could give them the right content at the right time, just by reading their mind. That would be my magic wand if I had technology that could read people's minds.
Yeah, I would love actually to follow up on that, because it's a very interesting point that people have mentioned on the show a couple of times. What would a marketer do if they know what they, if you would know what they think? Like what do you think? What is the benefit of that? How does it help a marketer these days? Maybe that would be good if you have a bit of thoughts on that. That would be fantastic.
I think about marketing as about building a relationship, right? You're about almost like dating, where you're trying to bring your best self to every type of conversation that you're having with them, but you're not always knowing how they're interpreting what you're saying. Are you pushing too hard? Are you not giving them enough information? And so I think understanding and measuring where their knowledge is and where's their comfort level with you. So if I was able to understand, hey, that sentence you just explained of how an EV charger works, I don't get it. And if they didn't communicate that, because in some cases people aren't comfortable to say, like, I don't understand what you just said, or this is brand new to me, or maybe they have some bias that's making them not want to ask you more questions. So I think as a marketer, it's really important to listen to the buying signals that they're saying, understand where they're struggling, and being able to tap into what they don't know, that and educate from there.
Very cool. And what do you think is hindering marketers these days to really read the mind of the people? Like what's in the way? Like what has to be changed? What has to be moved out of the way for people to do that?
It's a good question. I think there's just so much noise that's out there, and there's so many distractions that are happening. And we live in the age of Twitter. People are looking for short characters. They're looking for a very quick way to communicate back and forth. And you have a really small window to capture that. And I would say that that's a big challenge of how do you capture someone's attention, maintain that attention when there's so much noise and so many distractions that are out there.
Very true. Cassie, I really appreciate you took the time with us today to give us a valuable insight into your journey as a marketer. I want to ask you maybe as a last question, like if today would be your first day joining EV Connect, what's the one advice you would give yourself?
I love this question. And I think for me, it's about really understanding all the different stakeholders that are involved. For me, within EV Connect specifically, there's utilities, there's manufacturing partners, there's channel partners, there's the end consumer, there's the driver, there's all these different stakeholders, and really understanding each one and the role that they play at a very deep level. I'm always learning, and I think that the more that you can learn up front, the better that you can communicate the value prop to every stakeholder involved. So I'd say the advice I'd give to myself is just like keep learning, keep meeting people, keep investigating of all the different stakeholders across the journey.
Very cool. Cassie, I really appreciate you joining us today. So I want to wrap it up and give you the very last word. So if somebody will be forgetting all that we discussed about EV Connect, what's the one single thing people should remember?
People should remember that EV Connect is powering the future of EV charging management, and we're here to make it easy for everyone.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathmark Presents.
Thank you so much for having me.